Lennox, the way we lead into the show, I'm sure you've seen it before, but Keith and I just go, welcome to the podcast. We're super excited to have you. And then, I'll make some stupid comment about myself or somebody, or usually Keith. So
all good.
Fire us up,
right,
James.
Let's go. Okay, here we go.
You talk about it privately. We talk about it publicly. This is the Real Estate Insiders Unfiltered podcast.
Welcome again to the Real Estate Insiders Unfiltered podcast. I'm your host, Dwiggy Dwiggins.
What up, Dwiggy?
What up, brother? So we had industry
royalty. We had royalty. Yeah, we had royalty. That's who we
Lennox Scott, CEO, chairman of John L. Scott, a company that was founded in 1931, for perspective. Tell the viewers and listeners, man, it was a really good conversation today. It was so awesome. Yeah.
I'm struck by, and maybe it's just because I'm getting old, but I'm struck by how when you do something for a long time, you sort of take out the highs and lows. And there's a calm that came from the conversation that I don't find in most of my conversations about the industry. He still had passion around certain things. He had opinions around NAR, around CCP, around MLSs of the future. But it was through this sort of lens of calm. And I think the industry could use that. Maybe it comes from taking over as the CEO of the family business at 25. I can't imagine what that's like. He walked us through what that experience was like for him. His slogan is living life as a contribution. That's their corporate slogan. I think that's a great one. His thoughts on Rocket and Redfin, who happens to be in their backyard. It was awesome to see as someone who's I consider myself an older dog in residential real estate. It was great to see an old dog all in on AI. It was fun to hear him talk about AI and his thoughts on it. And NAR, MLS is the future. And then the end, man, he saved the best for last. His 3-part leadership process for how he stays focused through all the noise, that was gold. So make sure you hang around when we ask him the final question. Great conversation, great podcast. You're going to dig it. Put it in your ears, kids.
Lennox, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah.
We are excited. It feels like it's Groundhog Day for us in that every single week there's something dramatic to talk about in residential real estate.
But we don't always have real estate royalty to talk to it about. So, this is a little different.
Well, right? It's a joy to be here. And I listened to every one of your episodes that you put out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We do appreciate that.
But we'll Venmo you the $20.
We are very excited to have you here, Lennox. And I'll just start with this comment, and then I would love for you to dive in on your background. I did an op-ed recently about how real estate used to operate and then how it operates today. And there's not many people who have been in the industry for multiple generations. And I think that's a kind of a good starting point. Why Keith and I are excited to have you is to talk about, you've got a perspective that 99% of the industry will not have. And as I've been going around the country doing keynotes, it's amazing to watch realtors in the room get a historical lesson on the past. And they're just like, I had no idea. And then they really rethink all the discussions we're having today because they can see some of those things on the way things occurred. But I'll start you off. So 3rd gen, I think your grandfather started company in 1931. Did I get that right? I hope I got that right.
That's right.
Wow. Give us the background, man. This is going to be really cool to hear.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, first of all, I'm so proud of our team. It's the positive energy each of us bring that's created John L. Scott Real Estate. This is our 94th year in business. I'm not 94 years old. This is my 49th year in the business. But I started before that at age 10, painting the signs for the company. Being in a family business, you just get involved. And my dad invited me to do some things. And then I did all the yard work for the corporate transferees, met all the agents in the company and the office leaders at that time, and just progressed to a title company. But then, unfortunately, my dad passed away when I was 23. Mm-hmm. And that's when I came into the ownership of the company. And just 2 years later, through the support of our office leaders, our agents, and our support team, they said, Lennox, we'll back you. And I became CEO of the company at age 25. And it's just been such a journey and just a joy to work with everyone at the company.
How big was the company at that time, just for context?
We had 260 agents at that time, and now we're above 3,000.
So just for historical context, and I think this is important for people to know, because I referenced this in even one of my op-eds about my grandfather having his company in the late 60s. Having a company of that size, that time frame, even back then, is still very, very big, because the industry really exploded over the past 20 years and membership count grew astronomical. So that's it. I'm sure Keith has a question here. I'm probably taking it from him, but just what was that like? What was that like at that age to take the helm of a big company? That's freaked me out. So,
well, I'll tell you, it happened January 1st of 1980 is when I became CEO. And we know what happened 3 months later. Interest rates went up to 16%.
That's right.
And I just didn't have the experience. And so we set up a very collaborative environment. We had an office leadership meeting every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock just to get our heads on straight, to walk out the door to support our agents and with our game plan to be proactive. Yeah. And, each generation within the company, my granddad's team, my dad's team, our team today, and now my daughter is fourth generation in the company, and I can just see the bright future ahead that we have with her, that the team she'll put together, and that she's involved with at this time.
Love it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, let's get into a couple rapid fires. Keith, why don't you start us off?
Absolutely. So I'm a pretty avid reader. I've heard through the grapevine you are too. So curious, favorite, and favorite's a terrible word, a book or podcast that you listen to regularly, or that is you reread every year, or one that's really meant a lot to you. If you could recommend I read one book or watch one podcast, what would it be and why?
Well, the books I listen on Audible at 1.5 speed. So I'm getting through these books pretty fast. Yeah. But the podcast that I really enjoy every week is called Thoughtful Money by Adam Taggart. And what Adam does is he brings on money managers, and he has about 3 episodes a week, and they really do deep dive into what's going on in the economy. They were forecasting the reduction in the stock prices way before the tariffs hit. Because of just the overvaluation. But it's just fun to listen to the backstories.
Oh, I love it. That sounds like it's right up my alley.
That's a good one to do. Yeah, I was going to say, Keith, that has just got your name written all over it.
Yep.
All right. So my question, Lennox, if you could have lunch with anyone, current or historical, who would it be and why?
Well, of course, my dad. He's my hero. Just what a champion, helping move the industry forward. But in historically, it would be I'm not even sure if I'm saying this right. Nikolai Tesla. Yeah. And the reason being is his study of frequency and vibrations, and how we're all connected through this, and also for health. And I would just be fascinated to hear his theories and the truths about what's really how everything really takes place.
Yeah.
There's a dive bar. There's a speakeasy in New York called Tesla, and I think it's called Tesla. I've been to it. It's this tiny. You have to go through a coffee shop into what looks like the backroom freezer. And then you go downstairs into this little, and it's all about Tesla and what he was doing at the time. There's maybe like 20 seats total. Anyways, I'm going to have to give that to you when you're in New York next.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll go with you. We'll go together and we'll go to this really cool speakeasy in New York that
I want to
really enjoy. No, this is going to be Lennox and me thing.
All right. Just grown-ups only. Fair enough. I get it.
Yeah. All right, Keith, why don't you start us off with the Q&A here? So
sure.
This kind of falls in your lane anyway.
Yeah, I always love talking to people with time in the industry. I find that it helps you gain perspective. So I'm excited to hear your answer to this question, because there's a lot of noise out there, a lot of forecasters and prognosticators. So just what's your take on the real estate market? You've been doing this for a long time. Where are we headed? Inventory's up, rates are up, then back down, recession looming maybe. What are your just overall thoughts on the economy and the market?
Well, we always walk in the positive outcome.
There you go.
It's just that positive energy. We try to anticipate, and then we get right to it, and we do the work. So real estate is very predictable. It runs in 10-year cycles. This is the beginning of my 5th 10-year cycle, and it follows basically in alignment with the U.S. economy. And what took place this time, of course, is when oil prices go up, we typically see interest rates go up. But then on top of that, we had excessive government spending for COVID and then the years after COVID. And so inflation went up. And every time that happens, interest rates go up. Every time that happens, we go into recession. Every time that happens, home prices go down. But that's not what is happening this time. And there's 2 factors to what created a foundation. So we didn't have a 1980 type recession. We're having a cyclical recession. And we had the 3% mortgages. So homeowners were able to stay in their home, and they're getting the financial benefits of such a low mortgage payment, and they can rent it out in the future. And then on top of that, all that money that was put into the economy is kept the economy afloat.
Right.
And we're working off of that now. But then the consequences of all of this is those 3% mortgages created the lock-in effect for half the homeowners out there. And they're just not moving in the normal sequence unless a life event takes place that gets them out of their house because of the benefit of that 3% mortgage. The other half have major equity and they're fully in motion. But that's why we're off 20% in listings compared to normalcy. Definitely way off of 2021, but compared to normalcy.
Yeah, sure.
It's great feedback. And to remind us of the cyclical nature of this, I think is important because sometimes I think in this industry, we globalize a little bit, right? Like if an agent, and I know because I was one, when I screw up a listing presentation, suddenly I think the market sucks because I didn't win the listing, right? But if I just put 3 into contract, man, I love this market. This is the best market ever. This thing's great. And so there's wisdom that comes from a long view of things. So thank you for that reminder. I think it's important to remember.
And just one thing around that is outperforming the market. You got to do the work. And so we're focused in on it's 50% of our business from referrals from the people within our database. That's how you outperform the market.
That's right. Get back to work.
It's amazing in all of these conversations we have with people who've been in the business a long time. And I'm just actually connecting these dots right now that you just said that. The people who've been in the business a long time, when we ask them questions on like how to make it work, they always go back to the same comment of work your sphere. Like it's just get back to your database and talking to people. There's only going to be 4 million home sales. Someone's going to get their fair share of that. And whoever wants to work that and work those relationships is going to make that come together. So just some good words of wisdom in there.
Can I ask? Go ahead, Lennox.
A little phrase around that is we make the statement, while everything continues to change in technology and the markets, the core of our business remains the same. And that's the trusted relationship of a competent professional.
That's right. I have a question. I have a slightly philosophical question. So hopefully you'll go on this ride with me, Lennox. You've been in the business a long time. I've been in the business rounding on 30 years. I feel like the very first training I ever went to, they said you should reach out to your sphere of influence. And yet we're still saying it. Why as an industry do we forget? Why do we get distracted or lose that focus? What do you attribute that to? Because it's not for lack of saying it. They hear it, all day, every day from whoever, usually from someone who's in their ecosystem or leading them. Why do we drift away from that?
It's one of the great mysteries, and I don't get it myself because we know 80% of the business comes from the people we already know, direct business of theirs, but equally as important is referrals from them.
That's right.
And so we studied this, and we figured out how to flip the 80-20 rule. So we know the 80-20 rule, 20% implement, and they get the vast majority of business. Well, we're taking it on, and we really got our support teams help on this. And the secret sauce to flipping the 80-20 rule is do it for them. So our support team will put their names in the system. we do all the materials that are broker branded them. Only their contact information. Will never reassign it to anyone else. So we have hundreds and hundreds of thousands in our database because we do it for them. And then this is the conversation. And that's just to get the database. Our success plan is personal engagement activities. That's where business takes place.
Yeah.
You can have a database and send something, and hopefully it's video nowadays, but it's the personal engagement that's going to generate the business. And that skill mastery is not common in the real estate industry.
I got one more follow-up, and then I promise we can move on from this like super nerdy how to run a successful brokerage topic and on to the Real Housewives of Real Estate topics in a second, right? But I think you said something in passing that if anybody's listening who's run a brokerage, like they wanted to hit pause and like process it. You've gotten your real estate agents to trust you with their personal database and allow you to market to it. I would say that's a rarity in this industry. Is that just the decades of trust and family-owned business, and we've always done it the right way? Or if, let's say, I was like, dang, I don't know how Lennox, how'd you pull that off? And I don't want to wait 50 years to get them to trust me. I get it'll take time. How could I start to create that kind of environment in my brokerage so I could do the same thing? Because I agree with you. The best way to get someone to do something is to do it for them. But there's a natural tension there sometimes between the real estate professional and the company. How did you get through that? Or how would you advise, if I were trying to do that tomorrow, how would you advise I do that?
Well, I'm in office meetings every week, 1 or 2 office meetings a week. So I was the one doing the presentations, and I would go over the market research. And then I wrote a letter and I signed it with my commitment to them of how this was going to work, about that contact belongs to them, only their contact information and photo, and I'll never reassign it to anyone else. And we've been in business 94 years. Yeah. And so there is that trust factor.
A proof case. Yeah. But you basically did almost like a data bill of rights, right? Where you put out a letter, you signed it. They had something signed by you saying, I will do or not do these certain things. And you put it in writing and you signed it. I mean, there's that, even that simple of a step is different than, trust me, right? You're in front of them, you're doing it. That's really smart.
And the relationship. A personal relationship of reaching out to them, not just putting the word out, but showing up and being with them.
Being present.
Lennox is being humble right now because I know him pretty well, Keith. It's also due to the fact it's who he is. Like it's people who know Lennox know that he's genuine, he's authentic, he's somebody who doesn't lie, he says the truth. And so I think that's a key part. And I will only add that the comment that Lennox made at the end there was summarizing that, but how you hold the relationship with your agents as a broker is going to determine whether they'll do that with you. Yeah. And so it's for brokers listening that want to do that, it's invest as much energy into the relationships of your agents as they do with their clients. You'll create that kind of trust. Well, I love that, by the way, Lennox. And it's actually really interesting to hear that there's still, with all of the Wall Street, be careful what I say here. All the Wall Street,
Wall Street, what, James?
The Wall Street play in residential real estate. That there are people who still hold integrity and standards and follow that. So thank you for continuing to lead that way. We obviously, Keith and I, try to do the same thing here. And so we respect and appreciate that very much. All right, let's dive into drama because we can't not talk about it. Obviously, as we're recording this, CCP is a pretty big hot topic right now. I know you guys up there in the Northwest do things a little bit different, and you're across multiple states, Lennox, correct? If I'm right with that. You're all over everywhere, actually.
Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and just Idaho, over the border into the Siskiyous in California. This is kind of an island up here, and we said this is our market area back in 1990, and that's what we focused on.
Yeah. So the Northwest MLS, I'm going to bring this up and then I want to just get your take overall, just for context for all the listeners and viewers. The Northwest MLS, it's in the headlines. It's not governed by NAR, just for everybody's clarity on that. It's a broker owned MLS. I believe that to be correct as well. Am I correct with that statement? Okay.
Yes.
And what you guys do very uniquely up there, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but just through my research, is the association, the MLS, and the state work much more cohesively together to create policy and things. At least I've seen that, especially with forms that are up there that you guys use up there. I believe the state is involved in the structuring of forms along with the association. Am I correct with that statement too?
No, you sure are. You bet.
Okay.
And it's we walk hand in hand together, or I should say side by side together. We as us in this situation, just because it's a independent MLS, we are us in both on the realtor side and the MLS.
Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to set that for context because everybody talks about things and I'm like, no, that's not right. They're not NAR governed. And so give us your background. No, having set the foundation for that, give a little bit of perspective, if you can, for us on Northwest MLS policy regarding office exclusives, just what you guys do or don't do is my understanding. And then I want to get your take and opinion on this entire debate. Just and go riff on however you feel about it. So.
Okay. Well, we don't do office exclusives into the MLS. There's no marketing until active live in the MLS. There's no 24-hour rule. Why would we have 24-hour rule in today's technology? Everything's at the nanosecond. All the MLSs have in process. They can give you your MLS code for marketing to get ready. You don't need this 24 hours. We believe in 100% seller representation, 100% buyer representation. And for sellers, it's full exposure in the marketplace. And we have some nuances that cover some of the things that everybody was concerned about.
Like what? Can you give us some examples? Yeah, please.
Yeah. We have a celebrity privacy rule that for the 10 people a year that for celebrity status or privacy, they don't have to have their name or address in, but it's in the MLS and the dot on the map would show up in the middle of Lake Washington. And so people know there's a home for sale at a certain price. So if they have a buyer, they can contact a listing broker to be able to see the home.
So can I stop real quick there, just so that I'm getting this? You guys have the ability, and you were using celebrity, but I'm assuming it's a use case where somebody wanted privacy, correct?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Okay, so you don't display the address, and you said the pin icon doesn't actually show the location of the property either. Is that correct?
Nope.
Yeah. So okay, so the seller privacy conversation that everyone's having, I'm assuming you guys just think this is somewhat ridiculous based upon the fact that you already have those policies in place to protect their privacy. Is that?
Yeah, it seems like a lot of distraction out in the marketplace right now, and we're just going to work.
Okay. All right. So we covered that. You don't do in your market up there. There is no office exclusives, and it's just you put it on the MLS. How many? You guys? You're a huge company. How many sellers have you had complain to you? Just curious about having their home listed on the MLS.
Slim to none. I don't know.
So
if
you're not
any.
getting,
somewhere near zero, I think is what I heard you say.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's there's some other nuances. We don't have coming soon up in Northwest MLS, but we do allow delayed showings. And that's just another way of doing coming soon, where you might launch on a Thursday with no showings until the open house on Saturday. Same thing as coming soon. Creates the inertia in the market, everyone can see the home. And what this allows for is, of course, complete access for all buyers. I like, what do they call that at rock concert? All access to all buyers. And that's what it's. All these things support the agent-client relationship. So we have client relationships, not customer relationships like they have in New York or back in Japan or in Europe, where people have to go to company to company to company to find out what's going on. We have client relationships. A much higher level of service satisfaction comes from that trusted, competent, experienced professional.
Keith, did you had a question there?
This is a little leading, so feel free to not answer it if you don't want to, Lennox, but I'm going to ask anyway. Do you feel like not being a part of NAR enabled you to create common sense rules that you might not have been able to if you were associated with NAR?
Objection, leading the witness.
Of course, it allows for speed to be able to move forward on concepts. We have I call it, the word is co-opetition. We are in full competition with all of our competitors, every type of business model in the world. Yeah. We're in competition, but we cooperate for clients, for buyers and sellers, for the industry, for our communities, for society. And we're involved at the MLS level. The MLS helps sponsor at the local associations. I think there's like 15, 16 local associations within the territory of Northwest MLS. They help sponsor public education to support issues within the real estate industry. That's how involved we are together. And this all started in 1985. We got 5 MLSs and we merged them into one. We saved $900,000 a year in 1985, and it's 40 years now. That's like, must be 40 million, but inflation, it must be 60, 80 million dollars we saved the industry. And some of that went into governmental affairs.
Makes sense.
It's really fascinating to me that when I look at all of the lawsuit stuff that's happened over the years, your MLS has been in a very interesting spot because you guys were the first to remove cooperative compensation from your forms. That was done a while ago, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure it was and you guys looked at what was happening. You're like, this doesn't make sense. And can you just give me an answer of like your perspective? Cooperative compensation has been on out of your forms for a long time. Did it disrupt the market, or did things just continue to move on as normal?
It did not disrupt the market.
It's real. It's what I find very frustrating. I'm going to lead myself here, Keith, is that there is a use case already in existence. Now, I don't know. I'm not in your market, Lennox. I'm sure there are things that aren't right. I'm sure there's things that people gripe about as well. But it seems to me that overall, you guys have moved away from all of these hot button issues because you just looked at it from what's in the best interest of consumers. And you continue to put that as your North Star. And what I love is you're doing it in a way where the state's actually involved in the process. And so it seems to me that you've found an example of how everyone works towards the same goal. I mean, large and small brokers are benefiting from this model. You, as a large company up there with significant market share, have decided that you don't want to do office exclusives either, that you believe that this is better for customers this way, when candidly it would benefit someone like you to do the policy. And it's just fascinating to me about how this has just become such a big conversation. I said this yesterday, and I want your take on this. I just go, we're having the biggest debate ever about the tiniest fraction of sellers who might actually need privacy. Like the 1% of the 1% that actually need this. We're having this mainstream conversation about seller choice and seller privacy. And yet, to your point, you already have ways to do that. In at least a few of those. What is your take on this public feud that's occurring? If you can comment, I don't know if you can or can't, obviously between Northwest MLS and Compass, and the Compass trying to start a class action litigation and just all of this stuff. Do you have anything you can tell us or thoughts on it?
Yeah. First of all, we do have in the MLS an offer of buyer representation compensation in the MLS. I'm not sure if that's what you were talking about or not, but that is.
I meant the forums, that you're not doing commission sharing in the forums. I know you guys still do that. Yeah. The seller pays the commission, not the listing broker. You don't share.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And previously to that, 20 years ago, we handled the dual agency. We also took our purchase agreement, put all fill in the blanks on the front page, so it wasn't all the way throughout the agreement. So we did a lot of user friendly items for eyes wide open, so people could see what was taking place. Regarding the MLS, we belong to 17 MLSs out there. Northwest MLS is just one of the 17. And so we're talking with all the different MLSs to, take a look at some of these items about how what's user friendly for what's good for the seller, what's good for the buyer. Years ago, we came up with the phrase, we partner with our sellers as their personal representative. We partner with our buyers as their personal representative to help them buy the right home at the right price. Seeing it on the internet is just one step. For sellers, we help them get market ready, showcase their home to get the best price and best terms available for them. So it's an attitude of our approach of being a contribution to our clients. And I'll just share what's behind us as a company. So we've been in business a long time, and transactional excellence is what we do within our business. But our higher purpose, we took a look at this. It was living life with purpose and passion. But about 8 years ago, we shifted. We got a federal trademark on this, living life as a contribution. And it's being a contribution to our buyers, our sellers, supporting our teammates, the kids at Children's Hospital. And then we take these life lessons, these lessons from work, take it home to family and friends, community, and place of faith. And that's what the joy of being in the company is creating this environment where generations, we have family generations in the company, spouses, kids, grandparents, they're all in real estate in the company. And because of the environment we all create.
Yeah, you seem to be very focused on what's best for people, and that seems to be your guiding star. This, yep. I'll ask it, and I'm getting the sense you don't want to talk about it, but is this thing with Compass and Northwest MLS? Is this? I mean, where does this go? What are your thoughts? And if you don't want to answer, I'll move on to the next question. I'm just trying to get a feel for what it's like up there in the Northwest with this issue going on.
I'm not involved in the conversations, and I don't comment on others, their game plan.
Fair. All right. So let's do this. I'd love to talk about your take from this move in Rocket acquisition of Redfin. Redfin was in your backyard, or is in your backyard. They were founded there. When you talk about, the lots of competition in the market. So Rocket's making a big move into the space. What's interesting to me when people saw it is they kind of poo-pooed it. A lot of people were like, and I was like, no, this is a bigger thing than you think, because this is mortgage trying to go top of funnel. This is my opinion. You can obviously tell me if I'm off. But I think the Mr. Cooper acquisition is the real big one, where they're now taking up one of the biggest servicers of loans in the country. I think 1 out of every 6 mortgages, Keith, is done by Mr. Cooper.
I'd have to look it up. It's a significant.
My number might be wrong, but it was big.
They're definitely the number 1 servicer in the U.S.
Yeah. So when I looked at their investment deck, and I love to analyze all this stuff, Lennox, they're very clear about the fact they want to buyer, have the agent now handle it, do the loan, title, service, and then remarket that homeowner for the 8 to 10 years or however long they own the house, and then get them back in the pipeline again. And I think that is a long-term bigger threat to the industry than we've had in a while. Somebody's actually putting the pieces together. So that's my opinion. Tell me your opinion on it, because you've been in Redfin's backyard for a long time when they first started. Give us some perspective on how did it take off? Was it a big disruptor or not? And just your overall take on that.
Yeah. Well, first of all, lucky me. Redfin's here, Zillow, EXP. They all started here.
They're all neighbors, Lennox. Maybe. What's in the water up there?
What's in the water up there?
Yeah.
But yes, this is major for the real estate industry because they have marketing power. They have the resources for major marketing power. They already do it through the Rocket, and same with Redfin. They spend a fortune, and marketing power drives viewership. Zillow's got it, Redfin's got it, Rocket's got it. So that's one item. Yes, they have technology power. They are going to put this all together because they have the resources to do that. But what this is going to do is create the great push, the final push to the real estate industry. Get your act together. For all brokers, get your database and engage with your database, because relationships trump everything. It trumps marketing, media, technology. We use all those things, but it's that relationship that's going to drive the day. Just because they have the systems doesn't generate the business, because we're in the neighborhoods, we're with our clients, and we look out for their best interests.
I love that,
So
by the
do
way.
you lose
Keith, you
sleep?
preach on that a lot.
Yeah. Do you lose sleep over it?
No, I probably on sleep is just from excitement of anticipation of where we're going.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Search wherever you want, but buy with me, right?
Yeah.
Learn the market wherever you want, but list with me. Like,
and the other thing that these companies are going to do, of course, they have the wherewithal, the financial resources for AI. And let's talk about that for a second. We're going to the AI everything world. And we as a company have been getting ready for this. So my first view of AI was in 1968. Do you know what happened in 68? 2001 Space Odyssey, the movie. The AI was hell.
That's right.
And then the next year after that, in 69, we landed on the moon. The next year after that, Future Shock came out. We've been we love technology. We just anticipate it. And so we didn't know it was going to be AI that was really going to drive this, but we were anticipating the instant everything world at the nanosecond. So like for the transaction process, we're now down to the 7-day transaction process after a purchase agreement is signed, complete for those buyers that are fully underwritten ahead of time. And we're 10 days for all buyers.
Right.
And it used to be 35, 45 days. We know in the AI world, it's going to be the push button transaction process, day one.
Right. Lennox, sorry, but just I actually think it's either there already or soon will be where the transaction can go faster than the buyer wants to. Like, I do think that we'll actually see a situation where the technology will enable you to close quicker than the human being would actually prefer, because it's such a big decision, right? Having some process time in there is important, I think, for the psychology of buyer's remorse for a huge financial decision and those other pieces, right?
You bet.
Yeah.
And this is good to close process, not the actual closing date, which could be a month later for whatever they decide. The other thing for AI will be all buyers will be fully underwritten ahead of time. We are already doing that as a company for those that need financing. How can they compete with all cash, or how can they elevate themselves above everyone else that is just pre-approved? It's getting fully underwritten ahead of time. We've been on that for at least 5 years now. But we know and we also know we were doing this because in the future, this is just going to be the way it is. Of course it is. Everything at the nanosecond for that. We had a couple other ones came up. Of course, we're going to AI home search, voice activated home search. That's just going to be commonplace. It's now and over the next year or two ahead. Every site's going to be voice activated home search. We have the push button marketing that's coming because a listing broker has 20 different major service partners that they coordinate, and that will all be coordinated to push button or voice activated marketing coming up. All these things are going to be on the horizon. Here's one. We're helping our brokers move forward on their own AI assistant. We know there's systems out there, but again, you've got to really serve it up for them. Here's the system. Here's how you sign up, get it going. There's books out on prompting. How do you prompt AI correctly?
I love you just said a book on how to prompt AI. But that's just awesome. It just kind of shows you where we are. Do you think agents are, I have this question because Keith knows I can be a pessimist sometimes. Do you think we're a ways off because people aren't comfortable with AI having access to that much personal information, or just access to everything at some point? Or is it going to be time before that's there? Like, obviously the younger generation will probably adopt it very quickly, but or is it going to be that's just going to come in a tidal wave because everybody has to, which sometimes happens? Yeah.
Doesn't it feel like it's already too late? AI already has access to everything because nobody's protected in one item.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm where I am. So everybody's not noticing will notice that I don't have the normal background in place. I'm up at my house in the mountains, and I'm here meeting with it's just springtime after the snow, blah, blah, blah. And I got to get my house painted. I'm like, I can't keep putting this off. I got to get it done. And I started going on the paint websites, and I was going to hire somebody because I want to repaint the color of the house. I'm like, oh, I should probably find some interior designer to do whatever, blah, blah, blah. I went to the paint websites. They've all got it. You can upload the photo of your house, all the photos you want, choose the theme. It'll tell you the paint colors, and like you can just do the whole thing online. I'm going, oh my God, this is amazing, because before I'd have to have somebody come out. What are the different colors? What's it going to do? You know, and you pay somebody for all of that. And now it's all on, you know, it's all on Sherwin-Williams. It's all there. It's amazing how you're seeing little bits of it drip into just normal process. It's going to be a pretty fascinating world.
So long as it really creates efficiency, the human being in the process will surrender some of their control or data or whatever else. If it doesn't actually make it a smoother process, then they'll rebel. So it's really about how much does AI remove the grit in the machinery and make it more buyers don't want to sift, like you don't want to meet 3 paint contractors and talk to them about color and meet a designer, right? You just want to log in, hit a button and see 3 choices, pick your favorite, right? Yep. And so it's removing grit from the system. That's why you're enjoying it. And suddenly you're very comfortable giving them the square footage of your home, even though if I were to come up and be like, yo, what's the square footage of your home? You'd be like, not your damn business, right? So it's about it pulling out the sand from the machinery and allowing for efficiency, I think.
Yeah, as soon as agents across the nation get their own personal AI assistant, which everyone will, that's coming forward. That will really vault this. There's so much billions and billions coming into the real estate space through AI now. They're applying applications of AI. That's coming in. The biggest challenge is going to be for agents across the nation, each individual agent. What are you going to name your personal AI assistant? Hal's already taken.
Yeah, you took it?
Yeah, from the movie. 2001 Space Odyssey.
I got you. Yeah. No, I was there. My brain went in a weird place there, so we're going to leave that alone. So did Keith's.
What?
I have one because I know you, Keith. So I have one question I want to ask, because we got a couple questions before we wrap up here, but mine is going to be this. You're, I believe, pretty active in NAR still, or you were?
Oh, yes.
You still are. Okay.
Yes.
So I would love as somebody who's active, and again, you can answer this any way you want, obviously, but how do you feel like things are today versus where they were? Is NAR on the right track? What's your opinion as a very large broker who's also actively involved in NAR? And obviously it's been a wild ride for them the past 24 to 36 months. So can you give us any feedback or thoughts on that?
Sure. First of all, I'm proud to be a realtor. My role at NAR, I'm on the board, but I've self-declared myself. My title is positive advocate. I get a hold of issues and I help move issues forward, just like everyone at the board of directors and on different committees at NAR. All of us do. They have I believe it's a world-class organization. We are so lucky to have NAR, not just for our industry. It's mainly involved with home ownership across the nation and societal issues. Really stepped into that over the last couple of years. I was the past chair of the diversity committee. I've been on research, the large broker advisory group. I'm still on that group. So I have a chance to chat with leadership and with also the executives of NAR, the staff, the executives there. And so they're moving forward, but they've got a lot of work to do coming up ahead. Because with AI everything world, they're going to have to get this figured out, because the world is going to go right over the top of them in this new AI world, especially in MLSs. Now, 20 years ago, we had twice as many MLSs as we have today, approximately. We've done a good job with about 700 MLSs less than we used to have, but I can't wait another 20 years. So I've given up on I've given up on the consolidation route that we've going on. Now we have to go to a technology route. You either hit these standards or just take yourself out, because we're going to go. AI is going to go over the top of everybody out there. So we just need to consolidate. I believe we spend $1.8 billion a year as an industry on MLSs and realtor associations. I believe in local realtor associations for local membership and local government affairs on the streets in the cities and counties across the nation. Same at the state level. We would be toast without the realtor organization and at NAR. That's a lot of money to spend, and there's not that excess money out there anymore. And I'll give you an example. 17 MLSs. We spend $300,000 a year internally assimilating the 17 MLSs.
Right.
And that's on top of all the money they spend, the millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars they all spend. Forget that. Let's get that burden off the independent companies out here that have websites and use the technology for that, and the industry. We should be putting more money into governmental affairs.
It's a big thing that I talk about. Keith and I are not shy about, our feedback, and we are supporters of NAR, but we also will call, balls and strikes. We obviously did that with the new delayed marketing exempt listing status, DEMO, another acronym. But overall, we are very supportive. And, as you are aware, Lennox, Shannon McGann and her team, and then all of the people at the state and the local associations who are, I actually said this the other day to some lobbyists. I'm going to call them what they are, to stop using the word advocacy, because I don't think people actually understand what that word means. It's like, it's lobbying. Like, let's call it what it is in America, so people actually understand where this goes. Without that network and without that work going on, to your point, where we would be toast. Like, it would just look very differently. So, do you like the direction that the association's going now? I mean, you can see noticeable changes with Nakia at the helm, at least from our perspective, but you're on the inside, we're not.
Oh, definitely. She's out meeting people. They're listening, with Sherry Chris, involved, with the large brokers. We have a person there to talk with that can interpret what our feelings are and what we'd like to see, so that they can have time to listen in the appropriate manner and investigate for what they're doing. And I want to circle back real quickly. We have such great people at all the MLSs we belong with, but we need to get repositioned what they're involved with as we get statewide organizations or regional organizations or the grid. All those things come into play to get the cost out and get the service, because we have to be at the nanosecond. We have an expression: if it isn't instant, it's not fast enough. And we're having to assimilate this information. We shouldn't have to assimilate it. It should be in a push format at the nanosecond to us, instead of us going to get it. They should be pushing it to us every nanosecond.
I love it.
All right, Keith. Well, you finished us off with the question. I'm really excited to hear Lennox's take on this one.
Yeah, we ask everyone this question, but not everyone actually is operating a brokerage. So I'm very excited about your answer specifically. What's the one thing you'd implement today to help your business? If someone's listening, they own and operate a brokerage, and you were like, look, do this today, right now, and your 2025 will be better. What advice would you give them?
Well, it's first of all, let me go over three quick leadership concepts. The first one is vital one, and then important many. Everything's an important many. A seller marketing presentation, a purchase agreement, a buyer consultation, going to closing. That's all very important. And that's skill mastery. And we already walk in excellence of that. And we continually improve our skills. There's only one vital one. And then the frequency of focus of that vital one. If you don't go over it weekly or monthly, we have on our vital one, I'll get to it in a second, we go over it each month, an executive session on our vital one with our team, because otherwise the conversation disappears. And then you need to schedule your success. And I'm talking about agents. Supporting our agents, they need 2 sessions a week of 2 hours each on the vital one. That would double their business if they did this, and they would get engaged, and we support everything around it. So you want to know what our vital one is?
I do.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's relationship, database, engagement.
Yeah.
80% of our business comes from that. There is no other vital one. We do all the other items. That's the practice of our business. Skill mastery, of course. And we continually learn on that. But this is the one thing missing for most agents in the nation. 80% don't have a database. So, and many of them really cannot do a good seller marketing presentation. That's the key concept. We have our new brokers practice it 3 times. They're now meeting with a mentor for presentations, all those items, because that builds the confidence.
Right.
And then they'll have a database, and then they'll follow up on people from an open house and things like that. So it's about walking in confidence to get productivity up to help that individual agent.
I'll leave it with this, just because Lennox just did an amazing job of explaining like just the thing you just need to focus on. But I will want to add one comment. I think what everybody should also take away from what Lennox is saying here is also his enthusiasm and then who he is as a person. Like I know you, Lennox, you come into everything with the most optimistic, positive, and it's great. And I love it. And I think more people should have that. And I think that's also when a broker is wanting to do these things, they need to have a lot of that optimism as well, because that's infectious and that gets everybody else to be excited. So, thank you, by the way, for being here today. I know people are going to get a lot out of this conversation.
For sure.
And MLSs can listen too on some of the stuff they need to be doing as well, which is great. So Keith, any final thoughts?
No, just I love the wisdom that you provide. Having seen the machinations over the years, you sort of know there's always another line over the hill, right? And so we're going to handle the one that's in front of us. And then as soon as we handle that, there'll be another one. But the lines will keep coming. But what's the through line? What's the truth of the industry? And that's that it's a trust-based relationship sale. And if as long as you don't lose sight of that, you're not too worried about where your company's headed. So I think that's great advice for anyone who's listening.
Well, thank you, James. Thank you, Keith. And what a joy to be here today. And I look forward to seeing you at a conference in person down the road.
Same.
I will. Same. I look forward to it as well, my friend. Thanks for being here. We'll have you back again soon. So, all right.
Thank you.
Will subscribing to this podcast save the real estate industry as we know it? Yes, it absolutely will. Subscribe now and you'll be able to find out if I'm right.